Hey everybody, CNOTE here, and welcome to the CNOTE Audio Extravaganza. This is your host, Mr. Christian Rivera, and I'm here to talk to you about monetization on Anchor, or really monetization anywhere, and how you can, or should, or shouldn't do it. It's really inspired by the Get Followers on Anchor station, who I haven't listened to the content, so I'm not going to judge on that. I just kind of want to talk about the concept. This is not like a shaming or anything like that. I think some people have resorted to some sense of elitism, and I don't think that's appropriate either. I think we should help educate each other as to what good practices are. And I think, like any platform, we're worried that marketers are going to come along and ruin it. They've done that to Facebook. MySpace is RIP MySpace. It's still around, but it's kind of dead. It's like the ghost of its own self. So I think we're all weary of marketers. It's mostly, I think for me, it's the name. I was turned off by the name because it reminds me of some robot follower you would get on Twitter, and it's something you would ignore. I think it potentially dumbs down the consumer base. It's kind of assuming that people are dumb and we'll take that account seriously. But it is different in this sense because there's a voice behind it. But anyway, before I get back into that, I am wearing my boot for day 2. This is going to be a long journey of 6 weeks for booting. So 7 days, 6 weeks, 42 days. It's going to be a long haul, but this thing's got like a million straps on it. I feel like a robot ninja pirate thing. So I can go peg leg. I can even let it give me a boost with the way, if I move my ankle a certain way, or if I move my foot. It's kind of like a rolling sensation to kind of help get full range of motion on my ankle again. So a quick full explanation of what's going on. I have Achilles tendonitis. It happened a few years ago, softball game. I was going from second to third, stumbled over my own feet. Next day, boom, couldn't walk. But I was broke at the time and had to do a job that involved a lot of walking, going door to door, handing out flyers. And I still did it, even though I was in terrible pain. I still did it. And that probably made things a lot worse. I kind of laid off it for a while once I did get a job, and started to feel better, but then I started to get cocky about it, and I started running again, and re-hurt it. So, nice thing is I talked to my doctor, and I was like, I'm sure my weight doesn't help, because I've been overweight probably most of my life. I mean, overweight in the sense that, numbers-wise, I've always been kind of, stocky and built, so it just so happens that because I'm short, it's different. I have to think differently about my body, and I just haven't been able to, so I don't look disproportionately large. It's just a matter of the actual number, the weight number. But he said it's cool. There's marathon runners and athletes that have that. It's different amounts of pressure for different reasons, so it's not really that. So don't worry about that, which was nice and fine to worry about. Anyway, so it was 2 years of not worrying about this thing and just trying to get used to it, I guess. And because of that, I adjusted the way that I walked, and I don't know, I just wanted to get some official fix for it and try to figure something out. So I've got this boot for 6 weeks, and then I have a athletic insole for 6 weeks plus physical therapy, and basically what we're trying to fix is Achilles tendonitis. I also have a severe tightness in my calf as a result of the shift in the way that I walk. So basically I don't have full range of motion in my left foot. It doesn't bend all the way back as it should, so it's super tight. So we're going to try to work on that as well. So I have a night splint coming. I wear that at night, keeps my foot up so that I'm not too relaxed, and it doesn't, doesn't continue to do the thing that it's doing. And after 12 weeks, if we're not fixed on those things, then we do some surgery stuff. Yay! Anyway, let's talk about monetization on the anchors. All right, so monetizing your work. Let's say it that way, because I mostly want to talk about Anchor, but there's a lot that we can talk about in this respect. Anchor as a platform is interesting because it's new. It's a blue ocean, essentially. It's a few years old, but it's still evolving in the way that it's still fresh and new. Any feature could come along and completely change the game. It can completely bring new users on and make it a new thing. Now, I would personally treat Anchor like YouTube, in the sense that the YouTubers that are pretty much respected are the ones that will sort of naturally incorporate a product or service into the broadcast. Essentially, they would do maybe like a quick pre-roll, or work it into the topic that they're discussing, which I think that works better for Anchor. If I was talking about top 5 reasons, blah, 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 it could be, that product is a part of that, or the category of the product is a part of that. Now, it's tricky because you don't want to ruin your credibility. If somebody sees that you are doing a top 5 and you include the product in the top 5, there's clear bias there, and that becomes a problem. You can't develop trust with your fan base that way. Now, when it comes to monetizing Anchor as a platform, the tips and tools and things like that, we're all sharing that stuff. So it's almost futile to try to monetize that, because you could come on the platform and pick that up from any number of people. What you can charge for is the actual setup and teaching from the get-go of the platform. Now, that I'm not against, because I've done that for social media platforms, for Facebook, for Twitter, etc. If somebody needs a YouTube channel set up, I will help them with that. I will give them all the insight that they need about how to edit video, how to do, how to upload, how to set up your channel, how to set up your banners, how to set up, how to think about your descriptions and your tags, and the types of content you can do, the things that are doing well on YouTube, things like that. And I think that's fine for Anchor as well. The only problem is you can't sell a service like that on the platform itself, because we're already here. We already know how to use it. Unless you have something that is unique and interesting that people haven't been utilizing, then it's futile. It's useless. It's moot. I don't even like that word, moot, but I started using it and now I'm stuck. So you're basically preaching to the choir. You're telling people to do something that they already know how to do. Echoes and follows and shares and things like that. Now, the other thing that's difficult is that there really aren't major or very specific analytics on the platform. You get a number of listens in your daily digest and things like that. But for the most part, the only way that you can really track anything is through conversions. And I'm not even sure how you could potentially track that. You would have to track that on the call to action end. So if you put, if you do a quick 30-second segment, let's say, on somebody's Kickstarter product, and you say, guys, I really believe in this. I want to share this with you guys. They are paying me, but I only agreed to do it because it's something that I believe in. I think I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's useful, and I think you guys should check it out. So you give a little 10-second spiel, whatever, and somebody clicks the link, they go to the Kickstarter page, and they would basically have to just be a tracker that they would basically have to just give you a unique link to track that, essentially. So you would have to track it on that end. So that is the only way that I can think of at the moment that you can properly track conversions. And that is kind of nice in a sense, because it's cutting out every other middleman. You're not trying to get number of listeners, number of blah, 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 or number of impressions like shitty Facebook does. It says impression 2 seconds, $5. No, I'm kidding. It's 2 cents. It's super cheap still. But what I'm saying is that you can charge per conversion in that sense. So if I were to go to a YouTuber and he wanted me to get more listeners to his station, his channel, rather, I could do the same thing. You know, post a little clip of their thing or whatever and share it. Now, I think it's important to be careful about not ruining the integrity of your station. I think we'll talk about that next. You ever get that notification on Anchor where it says it failed to upload, but it's still uploaded? And then you'd retry, and it uploads like 3 times in a row by mistake. If you're not an Anchor tip, that's free. If you get that notification where it says retry it once. If it continues to do it, go back into your station and check the latest one. And I would listen to it all the way through, make sure there's no errors, but usually it still posts fine. So I'm not really sure what that's all about. Anyway, back to the podcast version of this. Essentially, I want to talk about the perils of trying to monetize on Anchor or on YouTube or really anywhere these days, because the landscape is very different than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you can get away with like fake reality TV, or you can get away with ads that are like, buy now, come find my commercial, come find my car, come get your car. I really like that character. I want to keep doing that. Come get your car here at this Jim Bob station. I apologize if that offended you. I don't know if there's anyone that talks like this on Anchor, but if you do, please call in. I'd love to hear it. Respectfully. Anyway, where was I? That's how you lose your train of thought, by doing weird characters. When I do improv, it's like hard to stay in character because you're trying to move the scene forward, and I'm focusing so much on trying to like see how that character can say what it wants to. Like, you don't think about the entire category or the entire alphabet of this character. So sometimes you get to like, how do I say the word zebra? Zebra. You know, it's like it's not a word you'll say very often. So it's like you have to kind of work it out in the moment, and sometimes it's a little bit distracting. Anyway, zebra. This is stupid. Anyway, so you got to be careful on Anchor to like not ruin your loyal fan base by doing terrible accents. Actually, no. I mean by not over monetizing what you're doing. Meaning, you can push your book. You can tell people what you're doing. You know, there's going to be people that are on here that have that voice, like, welcome to Christie's Corner, and this is, you know, like, it's going to be like very quote unquote professional, which I'm not at all going to knock on that. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes people feel more comfortable using that voice, you know, getting kind of in character, as it were, and sort of selling their services and selling their products. And that's totally fine. You can do that. It's about getting conversions at that rate. And I think people are following those people for that reason. They know that that's what they are. It's not like they're being a genuine, authentic person, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, guess what? By the way, you guys should buy my book. You know, it's a little bit different. It depends on the situation, I guess, you know. And as long as you're not obnoxious about it, really, really depends. It is really, really situational. So it's kind of hard to talk about it, actually. But one of the best things that I can offer is just to not be gross about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one thing that people are turned off by with the whole get new followers on Anchor, is because it feels gross. It feels like, at least with the name, you know, maybe try a different name. I don't know. If you're listening and you are the Get Anchor station, or puts it in front of you, I would love it if you would call in and kind of give your 2 cents on like your thought process, your reasoning, and what you're trying to achieve. I think that would be interesting to share. Again, I haven't fully listened to the station, so I'm kind of operating off of assumptions here, and I think that's actually better, because you know you're kind of working off of, you know, top level stuff. You know, if somebody sees your name and is turned off by it, that's a problem. So that's something we need to discuss. So people see the name and they think of like spam bots and stuff, and it's just not it's not kosher, for lack of a better word. It doesn't feel right. It feels like you're just trying to get a quick buck, and that is not at all what Anchor is about. Anchor is about community. So far, it's been about community and connecting with people by sharing and favoriting each other's stations and calling in and talking about topics. And we'll keep going from there.
If you've been dying to start that podcast about doves, or about your favorite jacket, or about a long-lost love, or a murder mystery about a cat who murdered everybody, you can start it now on Spotify for podcasters. I've been on Anchor for a long time, and now it is officially Spotify for podcasters, and it has been a platform that has been growing for forever. And I love it, and I still use it to this day, and it has hosted this podcast for 500 plus episodes now. So I highly recommend it. It is free to use. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. I'm literally on my bed recording on my, the phone is on the bed, and I'm just talking, and it's not that complicated. And then you can distribute your podcast on Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. So video podcasts are available too if you want to show your pretty face and have people see you. And you can do all that too. So just do it. It's totally free. No catch. Give it a try. Spotify for podcasters. Let's go.
Based on the true story that shocked the world. Critics are calling A Spy Among Friends on MGM Plus a thrilling new Cold War drama.
Treason. That's what I'm accusing you of.
With spellbinding performances.
I am not a traitor!
Starring Emmy Award winners Damian Lewis and Guy Pearce.
You're trying to get me killed. Give me one reason why not.
Are you lonesome?
A Spy Among Friends. Watch now, only on MGM Plus.
So I will openly admit, and I have before, that marketers ruin platforms. Me and my brethren, me and my marketer friends, we ruin platforms. Mostly because platforms provide a little bit too much leeway. They let us do it, essentially. That's the reason why I think Instagram is like the top tier of the game right now, because there's control over what's on the platform. You can't post links in your description or in your captions. It's only in your description and your profile, so you're essentially only able to push one thing organically. You could do it in other ways, but if you're the type of and then the community also sort of polices sort of the content as well. Not a lot of people like imagery on Instagram that is like sales flyers just being posted. Like, that doesn't sit very well. Like, people that are going on Instagram are going to watch, they're going to look at beautiful pictures of sunsets or somebody drinking a beer or a baby. That's what you go to Instagram for. So it's very important for things to be successful on Instagram. It needs to fit within the platform's sort of vibe and feel, and that works for Anchor as well. You've got to be an active part of the community. You have got to be a person that has trust and is not necessarily trying to exploit that trust, but is providing value to the community in the thing that you're selling. So if you're selling a book, it's got to be something that's kind of like relevant to your topics, relevant to your fan base, relevant to the discussions that you're having with people, and sort of, it's almost like, for me, if I was selling a book, I would almost read every chapter of the book on Anchor. Like, I would just read it. Because if people wanted to own the book and read it on their own, they should be able to hear it and see all of the value in it. That's what I would do. I offer everything for free. Because anyone who's a loyal listener of mine, supporter, it's almost like buying your book is a donation to you, in a sense. You're not gaining information. And that's the stuff that I really, really don't like, is withholding information just so you can sell something. That sucks. Like, that's not helpful. I understand if it's like a situation where there's just too much content, and it's like, if you want to breeze, like, you could essentially start your Anchor station and say, hey, I'm going to be blunt here. I'm trying to sell my book. I've got a lot of great content that I want to share with you guys. Hopefully it brings you value. And I want to read the book from start to finish here on Anchor because I feel like it's important. You could do that if it's interesting. If it's good content, then I feel like you could do that. And you could link, honestly, you could read the audiobook, post it to Anchor, or post, the first 90 minutes at a time. Post it to Anchor and put the links in there or whatever. And basically at the start of it, offer someone to say like, all right, I'm going to read this through, but if you want to be ahead of me, or like, read a little bit, like a snippet every day, rather. So maybe it takes 90 days or something to read the whole book, and you're not bombarding people with that. What you can do is, put the links in there for each day, for each segment that you post that talks about the book or whatever. But at the beginning of it, you could say like, hey, I am going to read the book. So if you have patience and you want to wait it out, you'll be able to hear the whole thing. But if you don't really have time and you want to read it on your own or listen to the audiobook on your own, here's the link. You can buy it. And you're basically giving them options. You're not trying to you're not gating information. You're not doing it. You're not trying to withhold anything. For me, that's what feels gross. Withholding information for the sake of trying to make money. Like starting a segment and saying, like, I've got all the secrets to Anchor. You've heard about echoing, you've heard about following, you've heard about doing this, but if you email me and pay a $19.99, whatever fee, I'm not saying that that's what that station's doing. I'm saying that that's what, like, the absolute gross thing would be. Email me, and for $19.99, I'll give you the final secret. Like, that sucks. Don't fucking do that. It makes me so bad. Just don't. I mean, there's no reason to withhold information. It's like a designer that is like, I'm not going to show you my technique because then you're going to get a promotion. All right, shut up. That's stupid. You're not being helpful. You're not going to progress that way by not being a contributing member of the community. So that's it for me for today, for the podcast version of the CNOTE audio extravaganza. I hope there was something interesting for you to think about or want to discuss as it pertains to monetizing platforms and monetizing Anchor. Now, I mostly talked about Anchor and maybe a little bit about YouTube. I didn't really talk much about like Twitter and Facebook. Facebook, to just kind of do a quick rundown of the other three, and really Snapchat too, I suppose. Facebook is pretty much all monetizing these days. It's still super cheap, so if you've got the marketing dollars and you know your demographic, it is the cheapest and easiest way to do immediate marketing. It is essentially replaced flyers door to door or mailers. If you know your demographic, it's like a particular zip code, put $100 towards it, create a compelling image and compelling copy, throw it out there, get likes, put your call to action on there, and that's it. That's really what it is. Organic reach for pages is dead, essentially. That's just not going to work. So, be prepared to pay on Facebook. Instagram is always paid. I mean, you can build a loyal fan base on Instagram, but you can only push one link at a time, essentially. Or you could say, go to this link and then do this or whatever, try to provide some instruction if it's to the shop. But I would almost, if you were a small business and you were not willing to monetize on Instagram, which you should just monetize, because then you could put a direct link on Instagram. You could just hawk a specific product. So if you have one product in your store, post the link in your description to that specific product, and then try to sell that directly that way. That's one way. That's one thing you could do. I'm just providing like one example for each. Twitter is a little tougher. I mean, you can pay for reach on Twitter as well. I don't really see that as effective, but you can do that. That's one way to do it. I think voice is important on Twitter. And Twitter is a really snarky place. So there's a lot of... I would look at IHOP and Wendy's, a lot of fast food places are doing really good on Twitter because it appeals to like, I wouldn't say Twitter in general, but a lot of those like fast food places are appealing to lower economic status types that are a little bit angrier, a little bit more snarky, and they're really appealing to that demographic really well. I was working on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt for Netflix, and we had a situation where we posted a fake Wendy's sign that was the character Kimmy Schmidt on it, because there was a joke in the show about how she looked like the Wendy's girl. So we posted that, and then Wendy's responded, and we had like a nice back and forth. So it's really still conversational on Twitter. So it's almost like just striking up a conversation and then trying to find out where the value is with people. I would say that's the same for Instagram as well. If you're a local business, if you're a designer, let's say, which is what I try to push because that's me. If you're a designer and you're trying to find clients on Instagram, you should be using the search functions, the hashtags, to find people in your area that fit the demographic of what you're looking for. So look for local businesses, look for their website, and if they have a crappy website, offer to make them a new website. If they have a crappy logo, message them right there on Instagram and say, hey, I really like your work, but I think your logo doesn't quite represent what you're capable of. I would love to be able to mock up something for you. Are you interested? It's really all you have to do. So just keep doing that over and over again. If you're strapped for cash, I should do that, but I'm lazy. And Snapchat again is about building a follower base, and you kind of have to use the other platforms to build a follower base on Snapchat. But there are ways to show off your products on Snapchat. It's just a matter of getting the follower base. So with that, if you have any questions on this segment, on this topic, please call in if you're on Anchor, or message me on Rival My Design on Twitter and on Instagram, or himynameischristian.com. Sign up for the newsletter, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you later.